Title 17 U.S. Code 512F provides penalties for the deliberate misrepresentation of copyright infringement. The owners and authors of this video, the Common Denominator, and the Paramystic Broadcast Channel are a nonprofit 501c3 exempt organization and believes in good faith that it constitutes educational fair use, as per Title 17 U.S.C. 107. Persons, agencies, attorneys, and or social media algorithms filing a false or frivolous Digital Millennium Copyright Act complaint may be subject to civil liability. Warning: the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Accordingly, viewer discretion is advised.
Happy Hump Day, everyone. As always, I pledge allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America and to a republic for which the flag stands, one nation under Almighty God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. You know, we've got to get our heads. We got to get our heads. Literally, there's a situation with a lot of people across America. You know, many of these people. They have what's called a cranial rectum infarction. A cranial rectum infarction. That means they have their heads stuck way up where the sun doesn't shine. As always, I try to say, I'm going to give you a good quote. And I found one with, believe it or not, with Leo Tolstoy. And here it is. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Leo Tolstoy was an author, War and Peace, I believe it was, Nobel candidate. I mean, the guy was just, he was an incredible changer of he was just an incredible writer, and he really changed literature in many, many ways. Russian, yes. But again, people don't realize, and we've lost so much of our history. We don't care about it, and it's sad. By the way, a big shout out to Kimberly Gallard. Thank you very much for the little like up there. I'm looking forward to this. I wanted to let you know I've been thinking about where we're at right now, and I'm going to take a moment to share this with you. Um, it's a wonderful piece, and we are, and it's called. This was on the Telegraph, by the way, and it's called "We Are Too Stupid to See the Dark Ages Are Back." In this column about work, but I'm going to start with religion. I'm sorry. Yeah, we are too stupid to see that we are back in the dark ages. This is a column about work, but I'm going to start with religion. Atheists, bear with. A Telegraph analysis reveals that Church of England attendance has fallen by about 20% since COVID. Some that will be old folks dying off, some of it people losing the habit. But it's also an illustration of how we respond to cultural cues. By closing churches in the middle of the greatest crisis since the war, Christian leaders sent the message that collective worship isn't essential, and it didn't matter then, so why would it matter now? The lesson of the lockdown was that nothing, not your religion, your relationships, education, or career, mattered more than your health. Believe it or not, they all mattered more than your health. When in reality, health should be your number one. Number one. With good health, you have a good time in life. Anyway, continuing on. Therefore, it is no surprise that today, despite almost 1 million vacancies, more than 9 million of us working age are economically inactive, including 2.5 million on a sickie. The state told us we could stay at home and be paid to do it. That at any cost will be covered by the future taxpayer. What mug would choose to get a job? There are very good reasons not to work. A lot of modern employment is insecure and badly paid. The failure to invest in state local social care has compelled many to look after relatives. Well, that's what they do in a lot of other countries. Go to China and Japan, for instance, they don't have any convalescent homes. They tend to their families. Their families took care of them. Now they're old, they need the families to take care of them. But while I'm sure the incoming Labor government has countless policies to fix these problems, tumbleweeds blow across the page, what they'll really struggle with is the changing shape of work. The rise of the click-based content creating non-job and the cultural perception that much of what we do is simply a waste of time. Britons once built ships. Now we work in HR event management. I'm convinced that one reason why we adore the NHS is that it remains a rare locus of expertise and work and hard work, where people do something that matters. Even the doctors are on strike. This is the dropout generation. If we're not getting what we want, we walk away when we can be bothered. Academics have identified a curious phenomenon called quiet quitting, whereby employees stay in their job, they just do less of it, having neither the will to climb the ladder nor the energy to hop off. This is demonstrable. The UK workers have lost 4.5 working days a year since COVID, and the term is being creatively applied to relationships where the precarious nature of online dating reflects the gig economy for work. Britons are having less sex, marrying later, if at all, and putting off babies for good, causing populations to shrink. The replacement rate is circa 2.1 babies per woman. In South Korea, it's 0.78. The silver lining of civilizational collapse, as we might finally see the end of K-pop. Once upon a time, the key unit in society was the family. Today, it is the individual. The only principle we can agree matters is choice. Though, with the death of religion and philosophy, the range of choices that we can imagine has narrowed drastically, as culture and faith have been replaced by holiday photos and video games. I'm with the philosopher Alistair McIntyre. We live in the new dark ages. We're just too illiterate to realize how dumb we are. Harold Macmillan sat in the trenches reading, I can't pronounce it, Ecclesiastes. Rishi Sunak is a fan of Taylor Swift. The Prime Minister wills Britain to grow, but being the product of corporate culture cannot explain why we should make the effort. To make the most of one's talents, perhaps to contribute, to enjoy responsibility, to pass something on, prevailing against such optimism, the stuff that gets us out of bed in the morning. The green movement glues roads to a halt and predicts there won't even be a tomorrow to enjoy. In a culture saturated with despair, people sigh, I can't cope. Pharma companies say, you don't have to. And doctors write the prescriptions. Rather than ask why capitalism makes people mad or unwell, we invite citizens to drop out of it. Rather than encouraging partners to make a relationship work, we celebrate them for having the courage to walk away. And if you don't want to brush your own kids' teeth, says Labor, we'll do it for them in school. That actually is a policy of theirs now, I guess, in Britain. Labor's abandonment of proper socialism, that is sacrificing today for a better tomorrow, strikes a chord amongst an electorate that doubts society can remake itself and is gradually giving up on democracy. Got to remember that line. Polling suggests young people favor a dictatorship. I don't think they're dreaming of Stalin. Rather, they regard politics as stupid, occasionally harmful, and they prefer it to go away. In a Deliveroo society where one doesn't even cook the food one eats, let alone kill it and pluck it, we want stuff to be done for us fast and anonymously. The real dictator would be a hardworking immigrant. If you've enjoyed this military junta, please remember to leave a review. My point is this. It's tempting to see COVID as the great disruptor, an event of such unusual force that it shook society to its foundations, and that we only need to pass some bills and kick a few deadbeats off welfare to put things back. but that's wrong. Lockdown went with the grain, confirming the slow death of vitality in British life and setting the state in to take the place of the engaged citizen. We've been complaining about our work ethic for years. The baby glute has been a long time coming, and Christianity has been ebbing away since the 1970s. We have a spiritual crisis, which is to say, we're a society without a motivating spirit. I really liked the very last sentence of this. We have a spiritual crisis, which is to say, we're a society without a motivating spirit. I'm going to say it like this. Lately, things in my world have been really, really, really chaotically strange. I mean, really, really bad for about 10 months. And what this program is about is those that are, we've got to think about leadership and what's wrong with our leadership. And, they've been saying, I've been hearing you got to worry about this one in Washington and that one in this state. Blah. No, we have to look at our communities. Our communities. And it doesn't help when our communities, believe it or not, all the leadership seems to have one thing major power over, and it's called censorship. Censorship. There's about 5, and I'm going to be presenting people of these organizations in the Gallatin, Cameron, HOA area. Men of leadership. I might sprinkle in a little girl, little lady there for sure. And the thing is, we are surrounded by people in power that are literally abusing their powers. And you have to look at their leadership. So when they say sorry, and I'm going to bring the first one here. I can't wait to see this. Let's see who's in comments real quick. Hey, what is sad, a dictatorship. You are surrendering your values, your views, your freedoms, and ideology for someone else. And that is very dangerous. Hey, I didn't even see you down there. When did you pop in? Anyway, I have someone lurking in the background there. Might be able to help me out along the way here. Anyway, but getting back to this, I started looking at my community. And I'm just going to open up like this. Maybe some of you might get this one. The world may be chewing me up and shitting me out, but I'm built like a piece of corn. Think about that one. Think about that one. Clinton County and Davies County. Seriously, think about that one. The world may be chewing me up and shitting me out, but I'm built like a piece of corn. How many of you are built like a piece of corn? Not many that I know of, but the few I do know of, whoa, I'll tell you what, they're pretty tight. These men and women, we're not going to give up. We're not going to give up. Dan Landy, Heath Gilbert, Paula Allen, Colleen Harding, Pastor Lonnie Harding, and many, many others. We're not giving up. We can't. It's not what we're designed to do. But we have people that, for instance, this great Gallatin, Missouri Community News and Events Group. I was on it for a moment, but then I got booted off right away. Someone made a very nasty comment. I'll be discussing later on within the past. Like I said, we have a big show coming up, big, huge. Bottom line is, this is the type of group that I should be able to, put a podcast or give people information what's going on, but it's led by a man that likes to, quote unquote, seriously now, he wanted to censor me. So I had to do a little digging about this guy. And John Thomas is his name. He goes by several other names. But John Thomas is the administrator. He's one of the administrators on the page that says you can either come in or you can't come in. And we look at his background and violations of protective orders. I mean, this is a very odd individual to be DUI, alcohol. We all do goofy stuff like that, but what is it with people like this? Well, he has power. He can censor. So then I started thinking, who else where else is this going on? Well, we are having it right here in Lake Viking. This Lake Viking official group, I can't get on. I can get on the unfiltered, but not this one. And it's led by an individual. Believe it or not, we have a board of directors through the HOA, which I absolutely detest. The board of directors, especially. I gotta say, call it the way it is. Balls and strikes. Don't like any of them. The situation is it's a Lake Valley Association. It's a group of residents. And I want to say, hey, folks, let's videotape the meeting. So those that cannot attend can watch it and view it and listen to it. And then they can get a little bit more maybe engaged in what's going on if they feel as though something moves them to do so, motivates their spirit. Pretty cool piece that was, in my opinion, anyway. Motivates their spirit. But no, they don't want to do that. In fact, one of them said, well, our faces will show. Yeah, no kidding. And so you're an elected official. We should see you. Everyone should know who you are, what you stand for, and what you represent. So I started dealing with this board, and ultimately I started zoning into knowing who the big cheeses were of the mound of crap. And I found a director, Jeff Ferguson. I call him Dictator Jerk Funguson. I have something coming special for you, Jeff, by the way. That's going to be just for you. Kind of like Jimmy Potts. But anyway, and we have a president, Doug Winter. So I did a little investigating on Doug. And this is the type of man that we have, who is the president of the board of directors that spends millions of dollars, that is in control of millions of dollars of this property. His own record speaks for itself. Files in Chapter 13, has 3, not 1, but 3 judgments. They were all satisfied. But the one that really caught my attention was this right here. How is it that you can have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? You have 7 state tax warrant releases. These are liens. I mean, how is it that you're in a place of leadership? And of course, you also have control, if I'm not mistaken, of your Lake Viking official page. It befuddles me. Supposedly he's got a restaurant background. Henceforth why someone was pushing for this $1 million restaurant out on the lake. I wonder who. Someone with restaurant experience. They want to put boutiques. They want to try and keep it private, and yet they want to keep it. They don't want to make it public, and yet what are they trying to do? There's going to be more to come along on what's going on here at the HOA. And I'm going to have to deal with this guy. And I ain't comfortable with him even holding my coin purse at all. Not at all. So we've had quite a thing going on with Cameron, Citizens Observer editor Jimmy Potts, if I might. Oh, no, that was a different shot. A shot of his nose or something. He's getting into online debates now, and Mr. Eldridge is doing quite well, obviously, in keeping the score. But this is the Citizens Observer's post, and where you can get your news and all 9 yards. How is it that the editor, in just a matter of, I'm going to say, I think it's, since about March of last year, he's had already 7 major infractions of driving without his license, driving without insurance, driving without registration, and finally, basically not registering his pussy cat properly. I don't get it. He's the editor of a newspaper, and he actually has censored people from getting information. He gets to say who can write an editorial and who can't, or what topic is good for him, in his opinion, to put into the paper, rather than looking at other views that are different from his. Censorship, that's what these people have. They have that power. I don't like that power. I want people to be able to come on, voice their opinion, do what they want to do within reason. I want to see who's here. Hey, Kimberly. All right. Auntie Ruth's on. Cool. Cool. Um, we've got to stop these people. We really, truly do. You've got a Cameron Community Forum on Facebook. Here's our picture. That's their little deal. And you've got an administrator on there, not one but two. Aaron is one I know of. I can't think of his last name. Aaron, it escapes me. But John Feiger III is running for city council. He sat on city council before. And we have another contestant. Her name is Jillian Richwine. I've met her. All I can say is the lesser of two evils. Yeah, John. But again, he censors people. In my case, I didn't do anything to violate one time. Anything in the forum. Nothing I ever wrote or what have you was quote unquote, how do you put it? Violated any community standards. And yet, here we go. The worst thing about censorship is John Feiger, but he's in a list of so many other people. That would be, Doug Winter, John Thomas, Jimmy Potts, just to name a few. But, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. Yep. I'm going to take a moment, take a little break. Check this out. All right. Just want to throw that out there. It's been an ongoing struggle. Got some good people that we're all tied in together with. And we have some stories that I can't make this shit up. Seriously. They're going to come when the time is right. In the meantime, have you ever seen the commercial where the little pretty girl is in there and she says, "Nope, I have no experience on a computer. I have no experience on the telephone. I don't know how to write, what have you, but I got a wonderful personality." You know, I got to tell you, folks, this would be one of the candidates who fits right with that little commercial. Here you go. This is Jeff Beck. And this says, "I know nothing about policy or porn books, but I have a wonderful personality. And doesn't she just look ever so pleasant?" I know. We might have been able to find a better shot of her, but that was so suiting. But this woman has been in office for about 8 years. She's not once spoken or addressed to anyone about her views of what's been going on with the Cameron High School superintendent writing checks for the past 12 years, going through the librarian, Tanya O'Boyle, who ends up, by the way, she ends up making TikTok videos bribing kids. This is someone that does this to our children, bribing kids to read the dirty porn that's in the libraries being distributed at the taxpayer's expense. But the prosecuting attorney down there, Miss McCain in Plattsburgh, she doesn't want to touch anything about it. The sheriff that was sitting here for a moment went down there. Basically, he was told, I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. You write a report at least. That's all. Identify with the problem, or identify that there is a problem. What is wrong with people identifying the problems and then trying to find the solutions? Well, I'll tell you what. About a year ago, personally myself or more, just a little over, I reached out to the Ministers Alliance Group. And I guess I'm a little brash, a little bold, a little boisterous. I don't know. But the bottom line, they didn't like my approach, and it doesn't really matter to me. All they needed to hear were facts. And we even brought one of the, I call them the religious zealots. I've got other words for these men, but it's improper. It wouldn't be kind to me. So anyway, David Nixdorf, and this will be his page right here. I just, I think he's he did this. He just started this church a couple of years ago. He found religion after being an MMA fighter, I believe, or something like that, which is really cool. And I guess he likes wrestling and drives the kids around in vans and buses and stuff like that. But you sometimes have to take pause. You have to take pause. When you look at a person's what they're doing with your children, they're driving them from place to place, and then you realize that all of a sudden, whoa, he's very involved in the community, the whole 9 yards. This is wonderful. He found Jesus, like I said, recently. But what really caught my attention was this: speeding, non-compliant operating commercial equipment. Don't know what that's about, but not wearing seatbelts. Hopefully he's learned his lesson on these things, but it's a speeding thing. We have to slow down, take pause. He came to our table and he just went full board because he's a friend of what was at that time the president, Dan Kersher. He ended up literally, get this, he actually ended up taking Kersher's side so strong that he was not going to come to the table to help people and address within the community. Now, that's another gentleman that has a form of censorship by, quote unquote, not speaking what needs to be spoken about and addressed to the church that he conducts his business, I guess, out of. I can only call it business. The whole thing that we need to do is we have to start standing up against these people. We have to do better. And the only way we're going to do better is if we elect people to be in the positions of. Now, David Nexdorf, I'm going to share this with you. Give me a moment, if you don't mind. I'm going to put this on there. Oh, here we go. Come on, Peg, join the debate. Now that's something else that we've been kind of wanting to have and conduct is a debate here in the area with all the candidates. But you know what? All the candidates are running there in Cameron for the school board. There are two. Dan Landy, see signs of him everywhere, and the write-in candidate, Heath Gilbert. Known these men for quite some time now, year and a half minimum plus. And just absolutely think these men really is what the community could use for a change. Because see, Peck in her video, there was no way she was going to sit down at any kind of discussion. Let's discuss policies. And they were willing to do that, but she didn't want to. You got these other two Ryans. My son's name is Ryan. I don't know how coincidental that is. There's two of them, Murphy and Lorette, Lorette. But anyway, I believe they finally just came to their first school board meeting that I'm aware of in a year and a half, just last month. They're not going to come down to discuss. They don't probably have much knowledge about policies at all. The truth hurts. And it hurts when you know that it's those key people in charge, the Matt Robinson superintendents that have complete say of what and who you are allowed to they control. It's all about the money. It's money. They control the money. They control the dialogue. They control the conversation. We've got a lot of bad people in this area. Or actually, I believe good people that really, really have pissed me off. That's all I can say about that. You're not living up to what you're supposed to. Reverend Nixdorf? Pastor David? I don't know. We know that when you're retired, like Pastor Kushner is, of the Dan Kirscher of, and this is his, thank goodness he won't be back. When you're retired, you're retired. You just give it up. You just walk away from religion altogether. And that's sad. We're led by leadership, for instance. A deputy, in their opinion, can charge someone with a felony harassment charge with no victims. That's first and foremost. Secondly, what's really bad, besides violating my constitutional rights, she works under a sheriff. And I guess that's why that qualified immunity might kind of kick in. This was her case, and he trusted her judgment. That's all there is to it. Now, had to sign off, I'm sure. Had to. You have to be aware of what your men and women are doing under you, being the top chef. And yet I'm told that's not the case. We have an attorney a tax attorney who wants to take my warrant with the social security number, driver's license number, address, typical stuff. But then those two things really bothered me. And you have to think about that for a moment. That's out there now on the internet. I'm going to have to deal with somehow when I decide to deal with Social Security at one point or another, I'm sure. Driver's license number, I don't know. It'd be hard to duplicate this mug, but it's not right. Doxing's not nice. It's not a kind thing to do. In the meantime, I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to have these little sporadic moments just like this, because I believe it's about time that the community comes clean within themselves. So hopefully they can make a better situation for everyone else, because that's what they're there to do. Serve the community to the best. That would serve the community best. So I'm glad I got this little session out. I think I'm going to keep it short. I'm coming back. We've got a lot of good shows coming up. We've got a lot of good people working within this network. We're very blessed. We also have a problem, I think, with Facebook or something as a common denominator network pairing up with the StreamYard. So you got to look into that again. It's been almost 2 weeks. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming, and keep watching Truck It. Follow the Paramystic broadcast channel, naturally. Great shows on there for sure. 228 men searching for sex arrested. Wow. A man who worked for Disney has been arrested for a young girl's death in Kissimmee, Florida. Wow. Where has our culture gone? Starts at family. It starts at family. Anyway, I'm going to get on out of here. You guys have a good evening. Thank you very much. Hope we had a little bit of fun. I'm going to see who's in the last bits of comments here. Okay, Kimberly's still all the way down. Oh, my goodness. Yep. Tell you what, we've got great people keeping their eyes on the streets. Keep passing the news. We'll talk to you very, very soon. That I promise you, we will talk to you soon. In the meantime, adios. Out. Love you guys.
There's a heavy load upon my back. No way to throw it a generation of my time.